So your 20s can build you or quietly sabotage your finances. Looking back, I wish someone had really warned me about how to go about things, matters, finances, and everything. But with the lessons that I've learned, I'm going to share in this video. Either if you're in your 20s or in your 30s, they can really help you and save you a lot of financial regret, okay? So in our 20s, we are figuring out life for the first time. We are learning our careers, we're learning independence, and unfortunately, we are not taught money in school. Neither does society teach us how to manage money. So in this video, I'm going to share a few money habits that I've learned the hard way, okay? So stick with me. So the first mistake is spending money to impress. One of the biggest traps in our 20s is trying to look successful instead of quietly working on our financial stability. Social media can make everything and everyone's life look glamorous, new clothes, fine restaurants, flying in and out, all of that. But real wealth is quiet. And the real flex is being able to pay your bills and without financial constraint and financial stress, the ability to live without debt, paying your bills on time, taking care of yourself. you know it's not it's not a must you fly to every other place every other month. Our parents, our grandparents had the best lives because they didn't have to see other people. So if you can control your consumption, or if you can outgrow here the pressures of social media, trust me, you'll start to view things differently, and you'll actually start to acknowledge your effort and be content. I had to get to a point where I had to really calm myself down and tell myself, paying rent is an accomplishment, especially here in Nairobi. Things are not cheap. Paying rent, eating well, within your budget, and being able to save after all that. And, obviously, we are not talking about people who are doing these luxurious jobs, which is fraud and prostitution. No, I'm saying if you are living a decent life, paying rent is an accomplishment. You don't need new clothes. Actually, let me tell you, your stomach doesn't know the difference between caviar and maize and beans. It just wants food. Once food is in there, it will digest, it will give you strength. It is you who you want to show off to people. If you can tame that, if you can quell that, it will save you a lot of money, and you'll get to enjoy a lot of freedom here. It's the best place to be, trust me. So, mistake number two is not saving early. Most people think that you start saving when you're older, but that is not true. Let me tell you, that is not true. You start early. The earlier you start, the better. So, those small amounts, the more you save them consistently, the easier it gets. Saving is a muscle. The more you do it, it's like being in the gym. The more you do it, that bicep grows to the point where you get to the bigger money, it's already in you. You're already used to, okay, when I was getting 200 bob, I used to put away 50 bob. Now I'm getting 10K. It's easier to put away 5K. When you get to a million, it's easy to put away 250K. You not feel like it's a big thing because it's already, a muscle is already there. Plus, where would you want to get when you're older and tired? That is when you want to make your life hard by constraining yourself. Start constraining yourself when you're young. That way it is in you, it grows in you. When you get to those older ages, there is something there. You have already built something, you have already created leverages. Plus, just saving, we all know saving will create cushion for unforeseen circumstances. There is always unforeseen circumstances. We budget, we plan, and then you remain with the 2K. You say, 2K will not help me with anything. You end up drinking that money. And then unforeseen circumstance happen, and then you have to borrow that 2K. Let me tell you, there will always be unforeseen circumstances. So you better put something aside, even if it's 100 bob. I know you think it will not help you, but you wait. 2000 minus 100 is still not 2000, it's 1800. You'll still need that 100 bob. So stash it away, okay? So the third mistake is lifestyle inflation. As income increases, it's so tempting to increase your lifestyle. Like, soon as you get a better job, you're already itching for a new house. As soon as you get an extra 20K, you want to upgrade your phone. It is the worst thing you can do to yourself. If you can just restrain yourself a little for a year or two, just for a year or two, you get that promotion, but you maintain the same lifestyle and you get to save the extra income that comes in. That way, create the leverage. That's why it's easy. When you have leverage, it's easy to even quit your 9 to 5. It's so easy to even start a business because there is something you've been putting away. But as soon as income comes, I don't know, it comes, I don't know, being young is so hard. As soon as that income comes, it's like, you need to show off, you need to be in that apartment, you need better clothes, you need a new wig. Like, why? You've been living for 20 years plus of your life without these things, and now it feels like without them you'll die. Why? you know One of the things I've had to learn in adulthood is restraint. It is a skill, it is a muscle. You see how you learn how to walk, you learn how to restrain yourself. The good book says that a man who can rule his spirit is mightier than than is a man that can rule an entire city. If you can restrain yourself, please, you'll be doing yourself a favor. You'll thank yourself. Even a year is too long. You'll thank yourself in 6 months. Just try it. As soon as you get that extra income, just live like you have not even seen it. Okay, you'll see the difference. So, the fourth mistake is not learning financial literacy, and that is a disservice to yourself. The system has already failed us. It has not taught us how to financial literacy in order to grow our lives. It has taught us how to be workers. And now you get to a grown age and you're busy just doing everything else. You are learning about how to tame men, to tame women, to do this and that, but you don't know how to you don't have any semblance of financial literacy. You're digging your own grave. Start reading those books. Those which this common book, what is it called? Rich Dad Poor Dad. There is dozens upon dozens of YouTube videos. Like, we are living in the age of information. Like, why don't you know things to do things to do with money? How don't you know how financial institutions work? You don't know how to invest, you know. But that is why I'm here. I'm here to remind you financial literacy is a big thing and it will save you a lot of financial stress. Learn it before you get kids. Learn it before you get to a point where you have too much to lose. You're starting a business, you don't even know that you need to separate your finances from your personal account. You need a different account for your businesses. You don't even know how to run overheads. you know you're living by yourself. You don't even know the exact amount you spend on groceries. You're doing a disservice to yourself. But in this video, I'm going to show you practical tips on how I've managed to do my finances on my level. Some things, there was some time back I was working on in a accounting institution, and I really did get to learn a lot of things about finances. So in this video, I'm going to show you practical ways on how I track my money literally, so that I get to see the overheads. I get to see where those cracks where my money disappears, and then that is how I get to tame myself. Then with time, that muscle grows and you get to save some things. You get to restrain yourself, you get to save something, and then with the time you create leverage, and then you move to the next level of your life. Okay, so stay with me as I show you how I track my finances. Okay, so guys, I'm going to show you how I record my finances. So first, you're going to just take an exercise book, any exercise book. Here is mine that I use. You can see it's very old because I use it. I'm not going to show you guys something that I don't do. Okay, this is me. This is my expenses. I've been doing this for like 5 years now, and it is one of the best disciplines I've ever had to cultivate. As I said earlier, I learned this when I was working in an accounting firm. It's just basic bookkeeping. Okay, so we're going to find an exercise book like this one, and we are going to separate this page into 6 columns and find a ruler. Don't be like me, okay, using your student card, your old student card. So you're going to separate this page into 6 columns, okay? So we're going to draw the first column. The second one. I'm going to show you guys just in a minute. I'm going to label them. So this is the third column. You're going to make the third column a bit bigger because it's for description of what you're getting. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 more to go. So the fourth one here. I hope this thing is recording. Really struggled to put out this setup. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the fifth column. Okay, so we have 6 columns. Okay, on the first column here, okay, I can't see if I'm recording. Okay, on the first column here, you're going to note down dates. On the second column, you're going to write opening balance. On the third column is for description. That's why it had to be a bit big. The fourth column, cash in. The fifth column, cash out. And the last one is closing balance. Okay, so for example, let me make a date. Okay, today is the 1st of March 2026. You're going to write your date there, 1st March 2026, right? Your opening balance, for me, I use M-Pesa and I use cash, but mostly M-Pesa. So I'm going to indicate here, for example, I have my M-Pesa, I have 2,000 bob, right? Then cash money in my wallet, I have also 2,000 bob. Okay, then description, the things that I've used my money for. So maybe I used fare in the morning. I'm going to indicate their fare. I used 100 bob. Then during the morning, I took breakfast outside. Breakfast, I spent another 150. Lunch, I spent 150. And maybe airtime, I spent 50 bob, right? During the day, I managed to get some cash in. Cash in is any amount from outside that was not in your M-Pesa or cash or even in your bank. Maybe in your business or during the day, or someone sent you money, something like that. I received maybe 1,000 bob cash in. So I'm going to indicate here, since I use my M-Pesa and I use cash, I like to indicate if it was M-Pesa or through cash. So maybe I received 1,000 bob through M-Pesa. I'm going to indicate there using M. Even in my description, I indicate maybe fare I paid using M-Pesa, my breakfast I used M-Pesa, airtime I used M-Pesa, then lunch I used cash, right? So cash out, you're going to take your cash in, okay? I hope this thing is, let me try to zoom. Okay. So, let me fix my mic. So, cash out, you're going to take your cash in plus your opening balance minus your cash out, minus this. Do you get it? Your cash out. Okay, let me explain it like this. You're going to add all your expenses, which are in your description, right? So which is 100 plus 150, this is 300, 400, 450. So your cash out here is 450, right? Or you can better go into details like I do. I will take all my M-Pesas. These were 250, 300. So 300 M-Pesa. Cash I spent 150. Total is 450, right? So that I don't confuse. So to get your closing balance, what I was trying to explain, to get your closing balance, you're going to take your opening balance, okay, plus your cash in minus your cash out, okay? Opening balance plus cash in minus your cash out. So in this case, I'm going to take I'm going to do total first, and then I'm going to separate them into M-Pesa and cash. Okay, so total, I'm going to take my cash in, which is 1,000. Okay, 1,000 plus my opening balance here was 4,000, right? Plus 4,000. Total is 5,000. Minus my cash out total is 450. So I get my total is 450 closing balance. So I'm going to indicate here total 4,550. Now to separate my cash and my M-Pesa, I'm going to take M-Pesa. You're going to the same strategy, just you do the way I've just done it. You're going to take, since my cash in was in M-Pesa, I'm going to take my cash in, which is 1,000, plus my M-Pesa, which was 2,000. Total is 3,000, minus my expenses that I spent in M-Pesa, which was, this is 250, 300, minus 300. Total is 2,700. So my M-Pesa closing balance is 2,700. Then you're going to take your cash. Guys, I've just remembered something, but I will include it in the next day. Okay. Then cash, I'm going to take, I had cash opening balance, it was 2,000. I didn't receive any cash in cash, so it remains as 2,000 minus the cash out that I spent in cash, which is 150, minus 150 is 1,850. So my total here is 1,850. If you add those two, let me see if it will bring that amount. 2,700 plus 1,850. It gives you the same total. So this is going to come to your next day as your opening balance. Okay, I hope I have it in frame. Okay, I hope I have it in frame. So you're going to come here on the second day of March. You're going to indicate the second day, March 2026. My opening balance is going to be this. Okay, I'm going to write here M-Pesa 2,700, cash 1,850, right? And again, you have your expenses. Maybe you're going to work again. You have your fare. Today, decided you didn't buy breakfast, so you just spent 100 bob fare through M-Pesa. You sent some money home, maybe to your brother. You write there, bro. You sent 500 bob. Then what I forgot to include here on the previous day's expenses is charges. Charges are very important because that is one of the cracks where money slips in. So in this second day, let me include charges. So sending, bro, you used M-Pesa, right? If you used M-Pesa, you're going to indicate here charges. It was 27 bob. Guys, it really means something. Sorry. Like, it's very important you note. That's how you get to know where those 2,000 bob, that 1,000 bob that you keep complaining you don't know where it went. It's these small things. These are the charges. It's the snacks you eat. Maybe I spend 120 on smocha. If you're Kenyan, you know what smocha is. So, and I spent 120 on smocha there. I used my cash, right? And then today I didn't happen to get any money, so I'm going to indicate here nil. So to get my cash out, I'm going to add all of this. Okay. I'm going to take my 100 plus 500. I hope it's still recording. Plus 500 plus 27 plus 120. Okay. Plus 120. 747. So my cash out here total is 747. Now to separate them again, how I do. Again, this is just how I do it. You can be just only using M-Pesa, or you can just be using cash only, and then you just work with your total. Or if you don't mind going on the details, you can just leave it like that at the total. But me, I prefer to be very specific so that I understand how my balance is looking. I understand exactly where every coin is going, okay? So M-Pesa, again, to get your closing balance, but let me add how much cash out I used on M-Pesa and how much cash out I used on cash, okay? So the only cash I used here was 120. So I'm going to indicate there 120. Then M-Pesa, I used for fare. It was 100 plus the money I sent to bro plus the charges, that is 527 plus 600, that's 627, right? If you had this, I'm sure it's going to bring this, right? Then here on my closing balance, I'm going to write total first. Again, closing balance, your cash in plus your opening balance minus your cash out. Your cash in plus your opening balance minus your cash out, right? So you're going to take cash in, we had no money. So we're going to work only with the opening balance. So we're going to work only with the opening balance. So total, I'm going to take total. I had these two, it was 450. Remember, I don't want to do extra math here. It was 4,450. So I'm going to take that 4,550 minus my cash out here, 747, just to get the total, which is 3,803, right? So to be specific, I used 627 as M-Pesa. So I'm going to take this amount from here. You see, the more you get the figures, the easier the math becomes. So I'm going just to take 2,700 minus the 627 so that I know how much I have remained with in my M-Pesa. That's 2,700 and 2,073. Then cash, I'm going to just minus this from my cash. You see, very easy. 1850 minus my cash here, 120. I have my 1,730. And this goes to the next day, as your opening balance on the third now. Am I in the frame? Okay, there. The 3rd of March 2026 is going to double as your opening balance. Now you're going to write M-Pesa 2,073, your cash 1,730, and then you continue the expenses. Same thing. If you get your cash in, you indicate. If you don't get your cash in, you leave it as nil. All of this is just to get the figures. So you can total this to every week so that you know how much you're spending every week, or you can do it for every month. You can just continue like this until the end of the month, and then at the end of the month, you get your totals for how much you use for transport, how much you use for food, how much you use for groceries, how much black tax you use, how much goes into transaction charges, how much you use for snacks. That's how you get those cracks, okay? So what I usually do, I always leave this page here for my bank details. For example, maybe I have something X bank, okay? I hope I'm in the frame. Okay, I have something X bank. I have 50,000, right? So on the 1st of March 2026, I withdrew 5,000, okay, for my week's expenses, right? 5,000, and then maybe the charges for withdrawing maybe was 20, let's say 30 shillings. I'll write their charges 30 shillings. So this page is only for your bank, so that you know how much you are also using for the bank. You know how much transactions you are losing. That's how you get to decide, will you use an agent, will you use your card, will you use your mobile transfer. You be smart. You get to know where you will save each and every coin, right? The basic of doing this bookkeeping is just to be prudent. Okay, so here you indicate maybe this 5,000 was sent to M-Pesa, right? And then, maybe you sent to M-Pesa 2,000, you indicate, and then 2,000 was for cash. You just be specific how you'll run your things. For me, I love to be specific down to the last coin. So this page, I leave it for my bank details. How much I withdraw, how much I put in there, how much transaction cost I took out. So that when I'm spending, sometimes you're just living life and then you're living life here, and then you come here and you realize you have nothing here, and you starting to ask yourself questions like, where did the money go? But it was you kept on transacting, but you did not keep track, and then all of a sudden you have a very weird bank balance that you did not intend to have. Okay, so let's move to the next part. So now it's the end of the month or the end of the week. For me, I've just come up with these figures, assuming it's the end of the month. Now I've done this for the entire month. Now I have my figures here at the end of the month, okay? And maybe in the beginning of the month, I started with 50,000, right? I'm going to indicate here. March 1st, I had my 50,000 in the bank, okay? My expectations for the month, I wanted to save, I wanted to save 20,000. Okay. You save 20,000. I want to spend like just any expectations you had for yourself, right? Now you have these figures and you want to find out where you went ahead. Let me add here miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is money you don't know what you spent on. Let's say you have your miscellaneous of maybe 2,500, right? So I'm going to add all of this. I had already added here. Let me add the miscellaneous. 2,500, right? It totals to 43,100. You have your total of 43,100. If you take, so here you're going to look like where you spent most. So your target was to save 20,000, but when you minus this amount from your previous 50,000, you only have, let's see how much you have. You have your 6,900. It's the end of the month. You have only managed to balance on the 30th of March 2026. You have only 6,900, but you wanted to have 20,000. So here is where you're going to find your cracks. You're going to look why you are spending too much money. Is it entertainment? Is it the snacks? Is it the black tax? So here is where you're going to be frugal and very intentional about your next month. So you're going to decide, maybe black tax, I'm not going to exceed 3,000. You indicate there. You do a lot of brainstorming. Just take your time. Transaction charges. How am I going to go through about this? Am I going to use my bank card? Am I going to withdraw once and just use cash? You think, snacks. Do you really need snacks? Are you going to reduce this amount, or are you going to take it away entirely? Takeouts, do you have to eat outside, or are you going to just eat food from home? Or if you have to skip lunch and you can skip lunch, do it. I mean, your goal is to save 20,000. Now, this was your goal for March and you have not succeeded. You have only succeeded to save 6,900. So you're going to carry whatever you decide here. Okay. And you're going to be very frugal. This is how I budget. You're going to decide if it's the snacks and the takeouts have to go, you're going to put your excess there. So when you start recording for your next month, you're going to be very intentional. If you know you're very weak, whenever you pass through the smoker stand, you cannot help yourself. You will spend that 120 there eating sausages. You avoid that route. Okay, that's how I do it. And then you squeeze until until the day you get to your 20,000. That's how you get to it practically. You don't just set in your mind and then you hopefully wait that you'll save the 20,000. It's never going to happen. Something is going to happen. If you don't track your expenses, if you don't know your figures, you will spend and then you'll end up here. And then you start saying money is never enough. I have a saying, I say it in Swahili by yours truly. Hakunanga pesa kidogo, shida huwa management. To translate is to say there's never small monies. The problem is always management. So this is just the basic of the basic. And you don't have to do it in an exercise book. I'm just old school and I find writing helps with thinking, right? I can also do an Excel version here on my laptop. But if you people are interested, that is because I really don't want to make this video too long. It's already too long for me. But this is basically the format, right? You have your date, opening balance, description, cash in, cash out, closing balance. I do this every evening after supper. I write down, but me, basically what I try to do, if you're having a rough days like me, or you don't want to be consumed, or you're just tired to be doing this math at the end of the day, I prefer doing all your transaction through M-Pesa. But M-Pesa comes with transaction. So that's up to you. If you're willing to take that chance, or you have budgeted for your transactions, good. For me, I prefer doing all my transaction with the M-Pesa so that I remain with messages. So I can, if I'm too busy, I can do this on a Saturday. I track all my expenses for the week, but I never go past 3 days. I prefer doing it daily so that things don't slip up through the cracks. On up to down to the last coin. I know where it is going. I know where it is staying. Okay. So yeah, this is how I do it. And I've been doing this for 5 years. As you can see, this is like my 3rd book. Yeah, I have so many books. This is one of the best disciplines I've ever had to do. I've never lacked rent. Like, I've never been short in anything that's important. I can be down, but somehow I usually get to know where I fucked up and where I slipped up, and I make the right choices here. So the hard work is here. Once you get these figures, it's like, and now it's up to you to decide where you're going to cut the cost, where you're going to manage the cost, where you're going to, according to where you are and according to the goals you're trying to get to, right? So let me know, you guys, if you want me to do this version of Excel. It's just the same thing. It's just that you're going to put on formulas, and Excel, you can automate things. You don't have to do all this math. Okay, you can just automate, and then I'll just show you how to set up the table and everything. Okay, so let me know what you think about this formula. So another tip is to avoid unnecessary debt. Do not take debt to go to a trip. Do not take debt because you feel like your fridge is empty. You need 20K to refill your fridge. Like, come on, let's think. Debt comes with interest. Yes, when you're working, these financial institutions, they will run to you. They will come to you. They are offering you some certain amount at some, they never tell you the consequence. And then at that time, your greed is talking. You're not even reading the fine print. You're not looking at the interest. What happens when things are going low, or when that faucet is kind of turned off and money is not flowing as it usually does? How are you going to pay these debts? And then you find yourself in precarious situations. Please, if you're going to take debt for things like consumption and what, I prefer you have your own kitty. That's why I've shown you how to track expenses so that you squeeze money and you have money for your own. I lend to myself, and when I take it, I pay it with interest, because as an introvert, I'm not going to start borrowing. Who am I even borrowing? I don't even have people in my contact list to be asking for money. Okay, I've had to learn the hard way. And I saw somewhere here in TikTok, someone said, like, if you really want to make it, live like an orphan. Live like you have no one, like you have nothing or no one to run back to. This will get straight, okay? So avoid those unnecessary debt. Actually, you're being given 5K and then you'll return in a month with the 1500 extra, and then they will give you 10 and then 20, and then it gets to amount where it's so big, and then that is where things start to get hairy. And now things are going left. Your income is not like this. Life is not, you know, life is constantly changing. Things are not always the same. That job that you're banking on, you can be fired tomorrow, you can be laid out. You yourself can quit because things are not working out for you. And then what will you do? You're now in a necessary debt. How are you going to service these things? And then you find yourself doing funny things for money, or just in very embarrassing situations. So let's avoid unnecessary debt. If you're going to take debt, from me personally, if it's debt, it has to be for business. And if you take it for business, you put all of it into that business. You're not taking 2K to go eat. You're not going to take you 10K for your. You put it all of it, and once the money comes, you put the discipline, you play all of it haraka haraka, you remain with your money in the bank. That is when you can think about spending. That way you get even the real dopamine. Yeah, you get to enjoy. You get to enjoy that hard work. You get to feel like, okay, I put my mind to this, I did this, I paid, I have done this, I've done this, I'm good, okay? Then, and just to a reminder, invest in learning financial skills. It will save you a whole lot. It will save you a whole lot. The more I've brought my mind to understanding on matters finances, I see where our parents kind of fail. You start to understand why businesses fail, why people struggle. And I've come to learn that struggle is usually a sign of ignorance, not in a bad way. It's usually something you don't know. The difference between you and those rich people is the level of information they have and the resources that they can get around them and the people that are around them. It's never a tier big thing. They have the same brain as you, the same two hands as you. And now, during this information age where you can easily access even what they know from this smartphone, like what is stopping you? So long as you are young, you have a phone, you have internet access, you can comprehend English, even if you're not, you know, you're not conversant with English, you cannot speak it fluently, but you can hear English. You're in a good space. You can build, you can start again and again 10 times. All you need is just to put your mind to it. The biggest hurdle of just being young is not knowing who you are and just trying to look like other people. Do not disappoint yourself. Imagine yourself as a 50-year-old looking back. What do you want to tell yourself right now? You are not old. You think you are old. Today's the youngest day you'll ever be. Okay? Imagine that 50-year-old. She will be tired. Her back will be hurting. Do you want her to be squeezing herself in a matatu, or do you have to enjoy a first class ticket because younger her did the work? Younger her actually put in the work to learn. She learned how to save. She learned restraint. Just put these things into perspectives, and the tips that I've shown you, and with that tracking tip that I've shown you, that basic bookkeeping, it will, trust me, I'm never going to be here on the internet and talk about things that I do not even do myself. I have shown you. That is how I got out of my mother's house, and that is how I've been living in this Nairobi by myself. And I've never been very stupid. Okay, I've been down, but I've never been in some weird situation financially, just because of pure discipline. Just pure discipline. Learning to sleep early on a Friday, sleeping by 9 on a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday. It will save you everything. It will save you the headache, it will save your skin, and your account will look good on Monday morning. And minus the regrets, with good sleep, you will feel so much better. You just need 21 days to just do it until it gets into your system. But anyway, if you need me to do more videos on finances, let me know. But that's all I have for today. And what else? Your 20s are not for figuring everything out. But if you build habits that shape your future, it is you. It is you who will gain. If you're wise for yourself. And if you're foolish, it is you who will bear it. So be a sharp person.